Alex Caiafa here to talk about the AFL. Alex, welcome to The Informer.
Thanks, George. Good to be here again.
A story that we first broached about 15 weeks ago when we started The Informer was that the AFL was about to shed about 400 or 500 jobs. Well, the news has come out.
Yeah, we spoke about this just as the restart happened, that about 500 people were set to lose their jobs because of, the money costing and all that sort of stuff. And it's just hit that time that, it's had to happen. And it's really sad to see, so many good people, lose their jobs because of some tough times.
Absolutely. They've lived this. Yeah. They've loved this game for a long, long time.
Yeah.
We wish them all the best. The football has been pretty exciting. The surprises have been your Melbourne, that you said to me was going to trounce the Western Bulldogs. The only problem is you didn't tell the Western Bulldogs.
They keep suckering me into the hype, Melbourne. I keep believing into them, and they just seem to let me down each week. But no, you got to give credit to the Bulldogs. They were really good, especially in that third quarter. They kicked 6 on the trot, and before you knew it, that Melbourne were out of it. So got to give a lot of credit to the Bulldogs for that.
Have injuries affected the Demons? Key injuries?
Probably not as much as some other teams. I mean, every team's got injuries. It is what it is. But Melbourne were up at half time, so there's not to say that they weren't playing good. It's just
it's going to be exacerbated because there's another football frenzy about to be unleashed.
Yeah.
One thing that you have managed to get right is the return of Carlton. They look pretty good. I wish they were a bit more proficient in front of goal, but they beat the Suns.
Yeah, no, it was a pretty dominant performance by the Blues. When you look at it from a stats perspective, Carlton dominated in basically every stat category, and absolutely the game was played on their terms. If that 7-18 was 18-7, Carlton are talking about an 80+ point win there instead of just a mere 5-goal win.
What did you make of the conditions? Very slippery football, almost like filled with soap.
Yeah, it's like they were playing with a bar of soap. The football. It was really dewy. It was really that the humidity up in Darwin is pretty crazy at this time of year, and it was to be expected. But I think in that game for the Carlton Gold Coast one, Carlton adapted to the conditions a lot better than Gold Coast did. Is
there any chance of changing the football in those conditions and playing slightly differently with one that actually, or would it change the dynamics of the ball far too much?
I think it'd change it far too much. I think that's what makes our game so special. It's a ball that's just played in all sorts of conditions.
Oh God. Okay, let's talk about two sides that went at their game pretty well. I'm talking about Collingwood and Hawthorn. Hawthorn really didn't disgrace themselves, but have they run their gun? Have they finished their real attack on the season and making the finals? Do you think their season is over?
I think their season's basically done. They'd need a lot to happen, and they'd need to win, their last 5 games just to make a competition out of it. But that's not to say they were really good against Port, and it took everything for Port to get up in that game. So. Yeah, you got to give credit to Hawthorn, but Port were just too clinical.
Tigers Essendon, what did you make of that?
Yeah, Richmond probably should have won this by a lot more than 2 goals. 66 inside 50s to 24 Richmond had, and to only win by 2 goals. They had the same issue that Carlton had on the Friday night, just couldn't convert.
The Dockers and the Swans.
Yeah, Dockers got back to some form. The Swans looked a bit average compared to, when they gave GWS a nice little pantsing. But Fremantle look good, and they're still in a finals hunt if things can go their way as well.
One side that is in no hunt, in fact, it's going to be propping up the entire league. It's the Adelaide Crows. They ran into the Cats, and they were left to feel more than wounded. They were shot.
Well, surprisingly, Adelaide for 3 quarters actually held up with Geelong, but then Geelong in that 4th quarter just showed their class, their experience, and ran away with it. And yeah, it's a struggle to find where Adelaide are going to get a win at this rate.
What about St Kilda? They were expected to get up and win this particular game, even though the Brisbane Lions have been really competitive. But the Lions got up.
Yeah, St Kilda were really, really competitive. Jack Steele was really good in this game. But Brisbane, they just hit a little run. They hit a little patch in the third quarter where they just got a little bit of a run going, and that proved to be the difference.
That was the difference maker. What about the Eagles and the Giants? We said at the very beginning of the season that they needed to leave Queensland and head back home, and they'd be all right.
Yeah,
and it's turned out just like that.
They're looking pretty good. They've won 8 in a row now, and they're flying. Now comes the real test for them.
The real test for Collingwood. They had no problems with North. And North is one of those sides against certain teams that matches up really well, but against Collingwood, no answer.
Collingwood just hit a stretch in after halftime where they again just put the clamps on. They put their foot down a little bit and they just took control of the game, and it was over.
Let's do a bit of previewing now. We've done the review. Hawthorn is taking on Essendon. What are your thoughts?
Well, Essendon have got a big in. They've got Joe Danaher back this week, which
after 942 days.
which is a long time. But so I think a lot of people will be interested to see what happens with Joe Danaher and how he goes. But I think Essendon should get the job done.
We had the Tigers play Port Adelaide, and everyone called it the game of the season. We could be seeing a real contender for the title of game of the season. It's the Eagles, the very much informed Eagles, against the champions.
Yeah, it's a very different Eagles this time from when they were last in Queensland. I think now that they've got those wins behind them, they've just hit some form. I think we're going to see a different West Coast away from home now. It's such a 50-50 game. It could really go anyway. It's going to be a belting game. I'm just going to pick West Coast just because they're a bit more informed team, but
no, they're the home side.
It really could go.
The other game that is just intriguing because you don't know which one's going to turn up. The Bulldogs up against the Cats.
Yeah, again, it'll be another very attacking game. Bulldogs love to play a nice handball, very attacking style of football, and Geelong like to control the ball as well. So it'll be almost a very similar, contrasting type of game at the same time. I think Geelong will just have a bit too much class to get over.
Port Adelaide wants to play a grand final in Adelaide. They've got to beat the Swans though, haven't they, to get to keep their campaign going?
Well, they're equal top at the moment with Brisbane at the moment, and Sydney are tracking along okay, but I don't think it's going to be enough to trample Port in Adelaide.
So you're saying the Port Adelaide power going to continue to show their ascendancy and their supremacy.
Yeah.
All right, the other game that is another one that's going to make us think, the Dockers, which has suddenly found this rich vein of form up against the Giants, who have been in and out all season.
Yeah, this is a must-win game for the Giants. I feel their finals are kind of riding on this game, and it'll go if GWS win, they're putting themselves straight back in the hunt. If Fremantle win, they make a finals race very interesting, depending on how other games go for the rest of the season. So a lot of things to happen in that game.
The next game we're going to look at is you could almost level the same charges. The Demons and St Kilda.
Yeah, this is Melbourne's finals on the line as well. They've got a lot to play for. St Kilda, they're not set in finals just yet at the moment either. They've still got a lot to play as well. So I'm hoping I don't fall into that Melbourne trap again. So I'm just going to be on the safe side and put St Kilda to bounce back. But it'll be a cracking game.
Collingwood take on the Navy Blues.
It's the biggest rivalry, arguably the biggest rivalry in Australian sport.
It has been over the years.
It's always a belting game. And now this game means so much more because Collingwood aren't really, in complete fine form. Carlton are starting to make a little bit of a run, and their finals chances are starting to creep a little bit higher. So there's a lot riding on this game. I think any passionate blue bagger would back their boys in, so I'll back them in.
I think Eddie Maguire's phone's ringing. All right, Suns and North Melbourne. Last game.
Yeah, it'd be an interesting one. Both teams are, coming off a bit of, losing droughts at the moment, and one team's going to break it, and I think Gold Coast will be the one to break it.
Alex Caiafa giving us the lowdown on this latest round of the game. Football frenzy. It's about to start all over again.
Looking forward to it.